A lot of people consider Pokemon X and Y to be some of the easiest, but Eternal X and Wilting Y edited the game to be extremely difficult, making you fight new teams with competitive movesets and items, and making you fight legendaries as early as the 3rd gym. And trust me, there are a lot of them. I played this ROM in the past with no success, but today I'm going to give it another shot. This is my attempt at a hardcore Nuzlocke of Eternal X Insanity mode, the hardest version of the game. In terms of rules, I play with standard hardcore rules, plus I ban stat boosting moves as well as Encore and Substitute. As my starter, I choose Greninja, as you have access to Protean and all hidden abilities, allowing you to cheese a lot of fights with high speed stat and changing your typing mid-fight. On Route 2, our first encounter is a Torchic with speed boost, which is an amazing Pokemon later, especially with access to Megastones. In the forest, we get a Cottony, and fun fact, the layout of this forest is the exact same as Viridian Forest. On Route 3, I get a Lillipup, which brings us to Santaloon City, and in the mart, we get some crazy TMs. I did hack in infinite money because you get the Thief TM, and technically you have a way of farming infinite money, and head to Route 22 and run into a scary trainer. The level cap here is 17, so I should have been leveled up a bit more, but thankfully I got out with no deaths, and we counter a Meryl. Which brings us to the first gym, which only has one easy required trainer, so it's time for the gym. I lead with my Combuskin against the Surskit and use Thunder Punch, bring it down to Sash as it Icy Winds, but my speed boost negates that. Viola then uses a potion, but another Thunder Punch takes it out, which brings in Larvesta. I switch to Frogadier on the Flame Charge, but I saw its speed and knock it out with a Smackdown. Joltik is next, and that meets the same fate. Then it's Pavilion, who also dies, then it's Dwebble, who I Water Pulse as it goes for rocks, but then dies to a Quick Attack. And last is Dustox, who goes down to 2 Smackdowns, giving us the first badge. Now the level cap is a whopping 32, but we do have a lot of content to get through. On Route 4, I get a Flabebe. Then we go to Lumio City and Sycamore's lab and get jumped by a triple battle, but thankfully it goes alright and I get a Bulbasaur, who gets Sweet Scent, giving us access to hordes that typically have a really good Pokemon. We go to the cafe and find a weird red-haired man spitting his manifesto to the Kalos champion. Then we go to Route 5 and use Sweet Scent to get a horde of Scrafty. We then get jumped by Tierno, but Ivysaur takes out the Corphish, Azu takes out the Lombre, Combuskin beats the Lilligant, and Azu finally beats the Farfetch'd. That brings us to Camphrier Town, whatever it's called, which doesn't have anything interesting, so we go to Route 7 and it's blocked by Snorlax, so we go north to Route 6, which I will be delaying as you get a good chance for Mag Zone later, and with ability pills, you can Magnet Pull for a Honedge. We then do a Furfrou maze, have a romantic moment with Shauna, wake up the Snorlax, and use Sweet Scent to get a horde of Turtwigs. Which then brings us to the first tough boss fight, a tag battle against Tierno and Trevor. And keep in mind, all these rival fights aren't in the official documentation, so I had to ask my buddies what they had. Thankfully, my lead Ivysaur was decent. My Ivysaur and the Quilladin were able to take out the leads, which brought out Breloom and Farfetch'd. I went to Herdier to Intimidate, as I get double targeted and Quilladin gets a weak pin missile off. I return the Breloom as it thankfully only stun spores me, but I get crit by a Karate Chop as the Quilladin hits a weak bite. I then go to Grottle and take 2 fighting moves as Quilladin gets a Thunder Punch off. Then I go Azu and I get double targeted again, and the Quilladin just doesn't want to do damage. So I Aqua Jet the Farfetch'd as the Breloom Mega Drains me, and the Lilligant comes out, so I go Combuskin and get put to sleep and double targeted, but Quilladin finally takes out the Breloom, which brings out Floette. I switch to Ivysaur and take down the Floette, then take down the Lilligant a couple times, and eventually take it out, barely getting us out of the fight. Then we go to Connecting Cave, and we use Sweet Scent to get a horde of Charmanders. I delay Route 8 because I think I just didn't know what to go for, which brings us to Umbrella Town and we get an Old Rod. So we go back to Parfum Palace and fish up a Feebas, which was holding a Prism Scale. Then we go back to ride a Rhyhorn and get a Helioptile. In the cave we get a Solrock and take out a couple of Team Flare members. There aren't any Old Rod encounters that I want, so we go to Silage City and get some Drip, and the rest Sleep Talk TMs, and then go north and encounter a Nosepass. Next is a very tough gym leader, Grant, who is a double battle. He has some really hard hitters combined with some bulky support mons and some specific scary Pokemon such as his White Herb Sky Attack Aerodactyl. Also, he has an Air Balloon Sudowoodo. Luckily for me, Torterra and Venusaur both evolve at 32, so they are usable. Battle begins, and I lead Azu and Torterra to bait Ice Beam. I protect Torterra as Lunatone goes for Light Screen, and Solrock ignores the Ice Beam kill and goes for Zen Headbutt into my Azu, but an Aqua Tail one-shots the Solrock. That brings in Sudowoodo. I switch to Milotic on Lunatone's Ice Beam, and Aqua Tail also one-shots the Sudowoodo. That brings out Cordilli as I Light Screen with Milo, and Lunatone Psychics my Azu and gets a Spit F drop as Cordilli Giga Drains my Azu, but we barely live and get an Ice Punch off. The Cordilli is Storm Drained, so I have to switch both my Pokemon out. I go into Venusaur and Whimsicott as Whimsicott gets double targeted for little damage. I Giga Drain the Cordilli and YOLO Petal Dance to take that out as Lunatone gets an Ice Beam off on my Whimsicott. That brings in Aerodactyl, and I bank on it targeting my Whimsicott, so I protect, and thankfully it does, wasting his power, but then Petal Dance almost takes out the Lunatone. I switch to Solrock as Lunatone gets healed, Arrow charges up a Sky Attack, and I get another Petal Dance off on the Lunatone. I switch to Milo as Lunatone gets healed again, and Arrow Sky Attack goes to my Solrock, and I get a big Rock Slide in, and now my Light Screen is out. Arrow charges up another Sky Attack, but Milo kills it with Water Pulse as Lunatone Ice Beams my Solrock, and Rock Slide takes it out. Last is Relicanth, so I go to Venusaur on the Waterfall and knock out the Relicanth with a Petal Dance, gain us our second badge. We head to Geosenge Town, run to a Schizophrenic, then get jumped by the third gym leader before the third gym, but thankfully I had Azu in the lead and it took out the two Lucarios. Then we horde on the next route to get a Nidoking. That brings us to Reflection Cave. We had a scary encounter with a Gramble, but we get through the cave, getting a Ferroseed on the way. We make it to Shaller City, and everyone's talking about Mega Evolution, so I go to the tower. Callum challenges me to a battle. The Meowstic goes for Light Screen and Psyshock as two Earthquakes take it out. The Vaporeon Baton passes Acid Armor into Dragonair, but Azu is still able to beat it. My Charizard takes out the Chestnut, and Air Slash kills the Vaporeon. Then last is Kangaskhan, who Statland kills with 2 returns, winning us the fight. I go to Route 12 and get a Meganium. Then next is Corinna, who is a single battle with some crazy good offensive mons. Thankfully, I do have a decent team though. So it begins, and I lead Nidoking, who Ice Punches the Breloom as it gets a weak Rock Tomb off, but another one takes it out as the Gallade comes in. So I go to Azu on a Psycho Cut, and I miss a Play Rough as it bulk ups. Then a Psycho Cut thankfully does not crit me, and I Play Rough to take it out. Out comes Pangoro, and if I miss, I die, so I go to Stoutland to Intimidate, and the only fighting move it has is Power Up Punch, so I return twice to beat it. Out comes Terrakion, and I'm okay with this dying, so I Baby Doll Eyes. But then I barely live a Sacred Sword. I then go to Nidoking and Poison Point activates, then I knock it out with Bulldoze. On the Lucha, I go to Solrock on the Acrobatics, but then sadly get flinched by an Iron Head. I decide to sack my Solrock to get a safe switch into Azu. Thankfully, this Iron Head doesn't flinch, and I kill with the Play Rough. Last is Mega Lucario. I go to my Charizard on the Ice Punch and kill with Flame Burst, gain us out of the fight with one uneventful death. Now we can go back to the tower, get a Mega Lucario, and now I have the Mega Ring. In Azure Bay, we get an Execute, and a Shopping Sand gives us a ton of Mega Stones. I then head my way to Route 13 and get a Trapinch. Now we immediately go to the next gym leader, Ramos, who is a rotation battle with some crazy Pokemon like Mega Venusaur and Sky Shaman. Basically, my strategy was to set up Sun with Mega Charizard and just go full offense. Sadly, my Charizard gets immediately put to sleep, but I still have my Blaziken, who was able to hit the Superior with a Blaze Kick, the Venusaur as well, and it also killed the Torterra. The Ferrothorn also died, and then Sun finally goes out, but I'm still able to get the KO on Shaman, and Nidoking Poison Jabs the Ludi, but it does live with a Sliver. My Ferrothorn still walls it though, and I'm able to knock it out with a Poison Jab, easily winning us the fight. After the gym, we go to the Kalos Power Plant, and I run into what I didn't know was the boss fight. This Team Flare admin led with the Raikou, so I swapped out from Charizard into Flygon, but it was Air Balloon, so I had to Dragon Claw, and then Earthquake after that, taking some damage. Next is Crobat, who Ferrothorn takes care of until it starts spamming Roost, but we were able to PP stall it, and that brought out the Rotom Heat. I pivoted through Azu into Flygon, but we do get burned in the process, so I have to go to Nidoking, who also gets burned, but we eventually do take it out. Then, however, is a much harder fight than the first one, and is the first of many Team Flare admin fights. She leads with a Metagross, who I fortunately am able to just Flamethrower. Next is Archeops, who crits and almost kills my Ferrothorn with an Acrobatics, but Ironhead kills it. Next is Arcanine, so I'm able to go Azu and get an Aqua Tail off, but the sun is up, so I'm not doing too much damage, but the admin decides to hard switch into Volcanion, whom I don't have any great answers for. Plus, it will-o-wisp my Flygon on the switch. I mistakenly go for Earthquake, and I didn't realize it had Air Balloon, but Flygon is barely able to live the Steam Eruption. I go to Flygon as he misses a Steam Eruption, and Rock Tomb as the Lucario dies to Fire Blast. I then go to Nidoking, who doesn't have a ground move. so I poison jab as I get burned. Then Nidoking goes down after one more poison jab doesn't KO, and Charizard is able to revenge kill, but there's still 3 more Pokemon. Air Slash kills the Arcanine, and another Air Slash kills the Druddigon, and luckily Heracross comes in last. I'm able to kill that with an Air Slash, getting us out of a very bloody fight. I run to a mysterious man, then make my way to the top half of Lumio City, and it's time for the next gym fight. Clement is an electric type gym leader, which poses a triple battle. The gimmick is similar to Elisa in Volway 2 Redux, where all of his Pokemon are immune to electric and everything has discharge. He has Electivire, Thundurus, and Mega Ampharos posing as big threats. My strategy was to Sunny Day with Egg, bait ice moves into Flygon, and 2-shot Lantern with Venusaur. The next turn I Solar Beamed the Electivire, digged with Flygon, and killed Lantern with nobody taking damage. Thundurus came out next. Electivire got healed, Egg hits another Solar Beam, Raichu barely lives a dig, then Raichu Focus Blast my Flygon. Thundurus also Focus Blast my Flygon, and Venusaur Light Screens. The next turn I protected Flygon, Solar Beamed Electivire, and killed Raichu. I then switched to Meganium on my Flygon slot, Solar Beam kills Stunfisk, and Ampharos sets up Electric Terrain. I then switched to Torterra, takes a big Dragon Pulse, Meganium takes a Sludge Bomb, Extra Sensory almost kills Ampharos, and Torterra Rock Tombs the Thundurus as Torterra takes another Dragon Pulse and Light Screen wears off. After a pivot, we finally take out Thundurus and Ampharos, winning us a clean gym fight. We then move up to Route 14 where Clement wants to fight again. Mega Charizard kills Meowstic after getting parried, Egg almost dies to a poison jab but knocks out the Chestnut with an extra sensory, Azu kills the Dragonair, then comes out a scary Clefable with Cosmic Power. I had to completely PB stall it out of moves with Florges until it died to struggle. Then the Vaporeon came out who died to a Solar Beam, and last was now a Mega Kangaskhan who demolished my Egg after getting a Solar Beam off. But Azu was able to revenge kill, winning us the fight. We then encounter a Gumi, walk into a satanic ritual, and get to Lavera City where I fish up a Poliwag. And that brings us to a wannabe Sabrina gym fight. Valerie is a single battle with some hard hitters in Granbull, Azu, Mega Mawile, and some other bulky hitters in Diancie and Sylveon. I led with Charizard who dodges a Swagger and Okos with Flamethrower. Then Diancie comes out and I switch to Venu on a Diamond Storm and kill with Solar Beam. Sylveon comes out next and I go Probopass with a Chesto Berry and Rest and Sleep Talk who eventually kills with Rock Blast. Next is Granbull who I go Charizard and kill with Flamethrower. Azu comes out and it's easily the wall by Ferrothorn. Last is Mega Mawile and I go to Charizard on a crit Fire Fang, so I gotta go to Torterra on the Sucker Punch and I killed that with Earthquake, gaining us an easy victory. And so far, the boss fights haven't been too bad, but oh my god, the difficulty spikes so much soon. Get ready. Now it's time to go to the Pokeball Factory. And after some puzzle solving, we run into a tag battle with Callum, which I didn't know existed and I didn't plan for. They led it with a Darkrai, so I Volt Switched, barely not killing the Doublade. I went into Goodra, and Meowstic kills the Doublade as I do half to the Darkrai. I have an easy switch into Florges as Clefable kills the Darkrai. Then comes a Bisharp, so I go to Charizard. And because of the Roselli Berry, Hydreigon lives a Moonblast, Flamethrower kills the Bisharp, as Clef dies to a Flash Cannon. Haxorus then comes out, but I miss an Air Slash and Charizard goes down to a Rock Slide, which is a terrible loss. That was one of the greatest Pokemon in the game. I send in Florges to kill the Haxorus, then Chandelure comes in and I kill the Hydreigon. Toxicroak is next, and I'm running out of options. Thankfully, Goodra dodges a Gunk Shot and the sunlight fades. Dragonair misses a kill on Chandelure as I get a weak Dragon Pulse off. Chandelure protects as Goodra barely hangs on from a Gunk Shot, and Chestnut misses out on a Thunder Punch. I go to Venusaur as Chandelure Heat Waves, and I take a big Gunk Shot, and Chestnut paralyzes the Shandy with a Thunder Punch. Gunk Shot kills Chestnut as I go to Ferrothorn, and Shandy thankfully gets parried. I protect as Mega Kangaskhan kills the Chandelure, now Luxray is out. Kangaskhan hits the Toxicroak, Toxicroak hits me with a Drain Punch, Luxray paralyzes the Kangaskhan. I go to Ferrothorn as Toxicroak hits the Kangaskhan and I get paralyzed. Kangaskhan hits the Toxicroak, Kangaskhan then dies as I bulldoze to kill the Toxicroak, but now I'm by myself in front of a Luxray and a Magmortar, which is terrifying. I then go to Florges, who thankfully dodges a Heat Wave, and Moonblast kills the Luxray, but there's still a Mega Pinsir. I have 0 switch-ins to this, so I have to sack my Venusaur, then go Heliolisk and kill Mega Pinsir, and I barely live a Heat Wave. I'm able to Volt Switch back into Florges and pick up the kill with Moonblast. Last is Drapion, who Ferrothorn 1v1s easily, but yet, there is still a Mega Manectric. It's going for Flamethrower and I definitely can't switch, so I sack Ferrothorn and go Goodra. and thankfully it light screens as I break through paralysis and get Bulldoze off. I barely hang on from an Ice Fang and kill the Manectric with Bulldoze, gain us out of the tag battle by the skin of our teeth. And that brings our death total to 7, with 15 alive. We continue to Route 15 and get a Poniard. We also go to the Lost Hotel and get a very convenient Magnezone. We can then ability pill for Magnet Pull, head to Route 6, and win the 50-50 for Honedge. We then head to Den to Milltown, and now we have access to the Mover Learner. I go north to the Ice Cave, do some puzzles, fight a boss who I recklessly spammed high jump kick with Blaziken on. Then I encounter a lackluster Beartic, and I'm able to ride a Mamoswine and get a Snover. That brings us to Anastar City. The gym leader is a Psychic type, and although the gym looks really cool, the gym fight itself is not. It's a rotation battle, with Jirachi, Deoxys Attack, Latias, Metagross, and Mega Medicham. Luckily earlier I went for a Horde of Scrafty, so I have a Sucker Punch user, but I also got a Bisharp, so I'm pretty confident. I lead with Aegislash, Scrafty, and Bisharp, trying to bait a superpower, but the Deoxys does knock off my Aegislash. I am able to Night Slash it down to Sash, and I anticipate a heal, so I go to Scrafty and kill Knockoff, giving us a Moxie boost. I fire a Sucker Punch, but the Jirachi unfortunately Thunder Waves me. I fire off another one, but the Sigilyph goes for Cosmic Power. Yikes. I then go for Knockoff as Jirachi Stealth Rocks, and Latias comes in. I Sucker Punch the Metagross, bringing out Medicham, and I King Shield with Aegislash, trying to bait High Jump Kick, but the Latios Calm Minds. I Sucker Punch with Scrafty, killing the Latias, then Sucker Punch again, but Sigilyph Cosmic Powers once more. I'm also now out of Sucker Punches, so I go for Knockoff as Medicham thankfully Ice Punches me, but I get paralyzed. I try to knock off again, but Medicham knocks me out with a Drain Punch, so I go Flygon and fire off an Outrage, but I do get burned. I get another one off, and Medicham for some reason just Poison Jabs me, and I get a crit on my third turn of Outrage, which is insanely lucky. Now the Sigilyph didn't have anything to hit my Greninja, so 2 Night Slashes took it out, giving us the gym badge. Next, we have the hardest and longest split of the game. The level cap jumps to 79, but we have maybe 10 boss fights. We head to Lysander Cafe and find their secret lab and fight Lysander for the first time, but he's very underleveled and we fight him once more, so we'll skip him for now. This brings us to another Team Flare admin that I finally started using documentation for. I Flare Blitz the Metagross, Goodra walled the Volcanion but did get burned, Flygon killed the Druddigon, Azu killed the Golurk and Archeops, and Aegislash killed the Mega Pinsir. Next is by far the hardest admin fight, as we have to fight 2 of them back to back with no healing. The first one leads with Drapion, and I outcode it with Magnezone. Then comes Hydreigon, which I go to Azu and kill with Flare Blitz. Then is Toxicroak and I go Flygon, but I do get poisoned from a Gunk Shot. Then Magmortar is in, so I go Azu, then into Goodra on the Thunderbolt and kill with 2 Dragon Pulses. Aegislash is next, and I knock it out with a Surf from Politoed. Last is Manectric, and Goodra knocks it out with 2 Dragon Pulses. Now it's time for the second one. It leads a Darkrai and a Thunderbolt, which thankfully paras, so I kill with Volt Switch and go Goodra on the Raikou and kill with 2 Dragon Pulses. Next is Haxorus, so I go Aegislash on the Outrage, get an Iron Head, and kill with Shadow Sneak. Chandelure is next, and my Mons are getting kinda low, but I go Politoed on the Endure, take an Energy Ball, and kill with Surf. I go Azu on the Bisharp, eat a Stone Edge, and kill with Aqua Tail. Last is Mega Pinsir, and my team is weakened. So I sack Azu, then go Flygon, and kill with Outrage, getting us out of a scary fight. The last admin fight was pretty easy, with Aegislash getting 3 kills, Abomasnow outspeeding a Shell Smash Caracosta, and Blaziken killing a Mega Houndoom. We then find the mysterious man locked in a cage, and I'm furious about this, so I go confront 006. Whatever his name is. Propass killed Crobat, Bisharp suckered the Gengar, Aegislash killed the Malamar, thankfully the Dharma's Choice, so Politoed took it out, Blaziken killed the Mega Caesar, finally Blaziken killed the Genesect. I foolishly then clicked a red button that set off a nuclear weapon in Geosench Town. We then go to another secret lab and find the reincarnation of Mewtwo, which actually just turns out to be Xerneas. So I do what every good 12-year-old would do and throw my Master Ball at it. But this pisses off the crazy red-haired man, so he challenges me to a fight. He leads Yveltal, and I get 2 discharges off, as Dark Pulse does more than I expected. So I have to sack Probo and kill with Whimsicott. Next is Mienshao, which I kill with Culver Berry Aegislash. Then my Flygon kills the Garchomp, and Politoed kills the Heatran. Volcarona comes in next, and also dies to Surf. Last is Mega Gyarados, and Whimsicott hard walls it, and I get a Prankster Charm off while he Dragon Dances, and I take it out with 2 Moonblasts. And with that, we save the world. I think... I'm not exactly sure what's happening in the story, but there is a huge crater in the town now. Now we can go through Route 18 to Kuraway Town, and the professor jumps me, and turns out wants to have another triple battle. It was pretty easy, just had to pivot around a bit, and Mirror Coat Milo got the winning kill. I then surf in Kuraway Town to get a Float Soul, and I go to Turnback Cave and find a horde of Aaron. I could then go down to Route 19, and now we have legendaries in the wild, who are higher level than the other Pokemon. So a simple Repel Manip at level 65 guarantees us a Latios. Then I go back to Route 18 and we find a Graveler. Now we got another crazy fight, the back-to-back-to-back rival fights. First is Shauna. I kill the Sylveon with Heavy Slam, Flygon kills the Delphox with Earthquake, though I do lose my Lumberry. Magazone kills the Lapras, Flygon kills the Goodra after taking a lot of damage, but we also kill the Roserade, and finally we kill the Machina. On the next fight, Aggron kills the Talonflame, Goodra into Aegislash kills the Volcarona, Whimsicott kills the Crawdaunt, Goodra kills the Ludicolo, Whimsicott beats the Kingdra, finally, Goodra kills the Lilligant. Lastly is Trevor, which Flygon kills the Raichu, Aegislash Shadow Sneaks the Frostlass to play around Decibond, but I don't kill and he fires off a crit Shadow Ball, but because of the Cassaberry I'm able to live. Aggron kills the Aerodactyl, Whimsicott kills the Breloom, and Flygon kills the Bastion. Lastly, Magazone kills Florges. Honestly, I had some really good matches for this fight, and it was easier than I thought, but regardless, we make it to Snowbell City, home of the 8th gym. And we finally have access to some insanely OP items. I'm going to be delaying a lot of encounters right now, but one Pokemon I will get is a Yveltal on Route 21 with a Repellent at level 68. And it's time for the 8th gym, which ironically might just be one of the easiest. It's an Ice-type triple battle, which is pretty easy to bait moves, and with them all being ice types makes offensive strategies pretty simple. The battle was pretty easy. Bisharp suckered the Jinx, Greninja killed the Frostlass, killed the Auroras, low kicked the Kyurem, beta Willow into my Bisharp, Blaziken killed the Mega Abomasnow, Greninja and Bisharp killed the Rotom. Easy fight. Now it's time for Victory Road. The first couple trainers were pretty simple, and I did a bit of puzzling, but then I didn't realize that Callum was going to fight me. So I'm stuck with a random team. Helios killed the Clef, but it did get rocks up. I Volt switched the Dragonite into Aegislash and Iron-Headed as a Dragon Dance, and went Torterra, and we skillfully dodge a Hurricane as Seed Bomb does some chip, then it Dragon Danced again as I go for another one, then switch to Aegislash on the Outrage and kill with Shadow Sneak. Next is Manaphy and I go Magazone and kill with Thunderbolt after a couple Scalds. Then I go Latios on the Chestnut and kill with Psychic. Scizor is next, I don't have many answers for it, so I sack my Beartick and it U-turned into Mega Kangaskhan, so we have to sack to that. But I'm able to go Torterra and Synthesis, but it did power up Punch, and the next Double Edge took me out. Helios is able to revenge kill the Kangaskhan and the Caesar that comes in after that. The rest of Victory Road went pretty smoothly. There was a funny level 1 Aaron trainer that gave me some issues as it endeavored 2 of my Mons, but we eventually get to the Pokemon League and get a shot at the Elite Four. First, we have a lot of encounters to get. In Victory Road, there are a ton of hordes for Arceus, but sadly I don't have the correct dupes, so I opt to repel it for a Victini in the last room. In Shaler City, I get a Tentacruel. In Silage City, I get a Finneon. And on Route 8, I Magnapole for a Skarmory. Then on Route 28, I get an Amoonguss. And in Pokemon Village, my dupes allow me to get a Landorus, Tornadus, and Thundurus Horde, and I choose Thundurus. And with that, it's time for the final challenge. This Elite Four is absolutely crazy. Legendaries and weather everywhere, with Seabold and Malva being the hardest. Wilkstrom is a weird rotation battle, and Champ has some top ladder Ober team. I came up with a team of Thundurus, who is important for Seabold, Aerodactyl, who is a Malva sweeper, Xerneas, who is a Drazen sweeper, Victini, who is a Wilkstrom sweeper, Tentacruel, who is important for Seabold and Champ, and Skarmory, who is crucial for Champ and Wilkstrom. First up is Malva, who I tried to make a complex strat for, but man, it seemed impossible. So I came up with one that was more fun, and I did it first because it had the highest chance of wiping. My Life Orb Aerodactyl went for Rock Slide, hitting both and taking out the Ninetales as Thundurus finished off the Reshiram with a Dark Pulse. Heatran and Ho-Oh came out next, and I can't kill either of them, so my pre-damage Arrow protected as Thundurus discharged, baiting moves into Arrow. We then hit 2 more Rock Slides, killing Ho-Oh and Thundurus picking off the Heatran with Thunderbolt. Charizard and Chandelure come out next, 2 more Rock Slide hits and takes them out, and my prayers are answered. Next we do Seabold, who was a crazy hard triple battle. Basically, I needed my Arrow pre-damage to bait moves into its slot while my Thundurus killed Kyogre and Xerneas set up Sunny Day. So Protect goes up, Kingdra gets a Surf, Ludicolo does the same, Thunder kills the Kyogre, and Sunny Day goes up. Then we switch to Victini, Sludge Bomb the Ludi, Moonblast the Kingdra. Then Palkia thunders my Victini, though it does paralyze. And lastly, Gastrodon and Blastoise come out. I switch to Tenta in for Thundurus, Gastrodon thankfully protects, Moonblast kills Palkia, and Blastoise uses Surf in the Sun. I then switch Victini for Skarmory, Moonblast the Gastrodon, Giga Drain the Blastoise, and eat an Earth Power from the Gastrodon. One more Moonblast kills the Gastrodon, and Tenta and Skarmory eventually kill the Blastoise. I was pretty proud of this one. Next was Drasna, who, well, I'll just show you what happened. Choice Specs Xerneas goes and there we go. Last was Wilkstrom, and this was a big reason I took Skarmory and Victini. Basically, I just spammed Taunt until I got one off on Klefki, and I was Lumberry to negate the T-Wave. Then I just went to Victini and clicked Choice Specs Blue Flare 1 time, 2 times, and 6 times. And we made to the champion, who is almost the sole reason I needed Tentacruel. You see, her team is very weak to Toxic Spikes. What I did was, I led with Skarmory to make sure Genesect got the special attack boost. Then went to Tentacruel, though I did get burned, but because it's boosted special attack, I don't have to risk Iron Head flinches. So I get a couple layers of T-Spikes, then switch to Victini and kill with Blue Flare. That brings in Arceus, who only has Extreme Speed and Earthquake, so it's a relatively easy stall with Skarmory, but I do need to be careful not to let it potion if it gets low. So I fly when I think it's about to die, but just ends up dying anyways. So that works, I guess. And it brings in Blaziken and misses me because I flew, and Fly plus Poison takes it out. Next is a very scary Zygarde. It has 1,000 arrows which can destroy me, but for some reason it just outrages. So I take advantage of this and go Xerneas and knock it out with a Moonblast. Which brings out Lugia, so I go Thundurus, and even if it Calm-Minded, I would have a 2-shot. So Thunderbolt takes that out. And last is Mega Mewtwo Y, so I just sack my Thundurus and go Victini to get a Glaciate off. Then a Blue Flare and Poison take it out, winning us the challenge. Well, there is that one. Well, the weird guy wants to fight me, but we beat him. And then finally, it's over. Honestly, this Romac was a lot better than I expected. A main complaint about this game is that it has a ton of legendaries and kind of feels unfair, and I could see that a bit, but in my opinion, those feelings didn't really come into effect until at least the 7th gym. Even then, I did use EVs in this challenge, something I don't normally do, but if I didn't, the challenge would probably just become a huge RNG fest, and I don't even know if I could beat that. But overall, the game was pretty fun, and it was a good challenge. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. I am traveling for the next week or so, but I'm excited to come back soon. My next video project will be my Blaze Black 1 Death Equals Reset Hardcore Plus challenge, something I worked for 8 months to beat and took 198 attempts. So stay tuned for that, and as always, have a great day.